I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome everyone. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Hullum.
Yes.
Odie is absent. Klatt?
Yes.
Saxer?
Yes.
Schrader? Yes.
All right, with that takes us to the approval of the agenda. Are there any questions or changes that need to be made? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented tonight, please.
So moved.
Second. There's been a first and a second.
Roll call vote.
Oh, roll call vote, sorry. Thank you.
Oh, you're good. Schrader? Yes. Klatt?
Yes.
Saxer?
Yes.
Hullum.
Yes. Thank you. No conflict of interest disclosure waiver requests tonight, and I don't believe there's any community input tonight. So that takes us to our financial items, bills and claims. Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, we just had, every year at the end of June, we try to clean up as many invoices as we can. We had $345,000 of invoices to present to you tonight, of which $290,000 of them were just clearing out the food service account from the general fund. $10,000, $11,000 of food service bills. I don't know if anybody had any individual questions on the bills. I didn't have anything marked.
Hearing no questions on the bills and claims, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented. So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg.
Klatt. Yes. Schrader. Yes. Saxer.
Yes.
Hullum.
Yes. Thank you. That takes us next to general business, administration reports, the superintendent's report. Superintendent Larson.
Yes, Madam Chair, real quick update on our linked summer reading program. Again, every Wednesday at Brandon Elementary from June 6th to July 25th. I would note that will not be in session on 4th of July, but you can catch story time 10:45 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Book checkout, or the library is open 10:30 a.m. to noon. I would like to thank Mr. Marceau for the last week's read aloud. He engaged our kids in a riveting story, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughter, so well done, Mr. Marceau, and thank you for helping us with that. Again, our summer reading goal is preschool 150 books, JK to 5th grade 600 minutes, grades 6 through 12, 5 books. Couple construction updates, our outdoor stadium, the upgrade to artificial turf. I would tell you that they're in the demo and drainage system. It's in progress. Obviously, the rain does not help the progress, but it is moving along appropriately. Also at the Brandon Valley High School, we have the renovation of our old office spaces. I would tell you that that is making good quality progress. Drywall is going up, some of those types of things, ceiling tiles going in, etc. And then also our wet pipe sprinkler system, which is completing the sprinkler system to the north and east portion of our high school, is also in progress. Professional development opportunity for our school board is a joint conference, August 9th and 10th over here in Sioux Falls. If you're interested, contact the business office. It's never too soon to start thinking about our next or our upcoming academic year. We'll have new staff join us on August 16th for new staff in service. The 20th and the 21st, we'll bring all of our staff in for staff in service, or I should say our teachers in for staff in service. The 21st, we'll host our all-staff welcome back at 10:30 a.m. We'd certainly welcome and invite the Board of Education to that event. Lunch will be served following, and then August 22nd, 2018, first day of school for students. A real big ticket item for parents to become aware of is that our bus passes will be available for purchase after July 9th. So after July 9th, folks can go online, stop down to the transportation department, and get those bus passes purchased. I would note the deadline for purchase is August 8th. It's critical that we meet that deadline so we're able to transport our approximate 1,900 to 2,000 students daily. So that deadline needs to be met. Would note that the calendars for next year are posted. The academic calendar can be found on our central on our district webpage, and then also our master activities calendar can also be found on our district webpage, our central webpage. Special reminder, July Board of Education meeting has been moved to Monday, July 16th. That's a change from the second Monday to the third Monday. And I would note that the budget hearing will begin at 6 p.m. and the meeting will begin at 6:30 p.m. So 6 p.m. meeting, or budget hearing, 6:30 p.m. meeting. Again, 6 p.m. budget hearing, 6:30 p.m. reorganization meeting. Would certainly entertain any questions you may have.
If I could add during that time, I know I'm not on the agenda, so if I can't speak now, just tell me. I came to you a few months ago. Actually, the Booster Club came to you asking about the outdoor video board. Just an update on that. They did not secure enough sponsorship at this time for that to go into effect or to go into production for this fall. It is still in the works, but it will be a next summer for a fall of 2019 project. They just had to work on some of the different levels of sponsorship, and they're confident that that will happen, but that wasn't going to happen in time. Dr. Larson and I talked, since we weren't going to get it up for our first event on August 21st, we said we're just going to wait and not do it during the seasons. So that's just an update on that project.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Larson tonight on the superintendent's report? If not, thank you very much for sharing that, Superintendent Larson. That takes us to board policy. We have some items there for proposed first reading.
Yes, Madam Chair, as previously discussed, the items that we are looking at for first readings, all of those items would consist of transportation operation policies. Basically, it's creating consistent language between the respective policies, and then also there's some cleanup language for us to make our policy consistent with practice, and then ultimately the removal of a couple of safety procedures or operational procedures that we would rather train on. And the recommendation from administration is the removal of those items from the policy. So I'd certainly entertain any questions you have on any of those specific policies at this point in time, or the proposed changes.
Okay, hearing none, if you have any questions or concerns about that before the next board meeting, please discuss that with Superintendent Larson so we can put those on as a second reading. Thank you. That takes us to an adoption, second reading of JGA.
Okay, Madam Chair, this is ultimately our prohibition of corporal punishment. So the additional verbiage deals with the administration of restraint and seclusion. And what I would note is this aligns to the recently passed state statute. The three big ticket items that are outlined here and outlined within state statute are the prohibition of prone restraint unless absolutely necessary, and then it may be utilized in reasonable manner and moderate degree. Also, the elimination of solitary seclusion in a locked room unless there's a clear and present danger. And then lastly is the component of notification to parents. So those three items are outlined in this policy to make certain that we are up to date with the, like I said, recently passed state statute. That state statute to take effect July 1. Again, administrative recommendation to approve JGA as presented.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent Larson over JGA before we approve this? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve and adopt JGA as presented, please.
Move to approve and adopt.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg?
Klatt?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Saxer?
Yes.
Bowen?
Yes. Thank you very much. Takes us to general business item number 1, to canvass the June 19th, 2018 school board election results.
Okay, I'll just quickly go over the results that we have for you guys on our recently held school board election on June 19th. I would just add at the beginning, there's a new requirement that the South Dakota legislature put in, that you have to designate whether there was a joint election or a standalone election. Obviously, we had a standalone election on June 19th, just school board. In Valley Springs, there were 57 voters. Split Rock, there were 91 voters. In Brandon Precinct, there were 370 voters, a total of 518 voters out of the 14,104 total eligible voters. So it was a turnout of 3.67%. The results were Greg Odie with 291 votes, Adam Punt with 101 votes, Stacy Long with 243 votes, Dan Klumper with 246 votes, and Dave Howard with 70 votes. So the two winners for the two seats were Greg Odie and Dan Klumper.
Yeah.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Lundberg on the information provided? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the canvassing of the June 19th, 2018 school board election results, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg?
Schrader.
Yes.
Klatt.
Yes.
Saxer.
Yes.
Fallon.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone who ran, and we'll be saying goodbye to Mrs. Klatt later during the meeting. All right. Next, we need to look at approving the 2018 to 23 Brandon Valley School District Strategic Plan.
Yes, Madam Chair, as previously presented within the draft strategic plan, I guess I would just note that the only one change or tweak would be in our goal statement regarding facilities and operations. Changed the first word to create so that would align to our core operating principle. So ultimately, our strategic plan encompasses and is a holistic plan that focuses on student achievement, staff development, facilities and operations, fiscal responsibility, parent and community relations. 16 to 18-month long process, engaged a lot of stakeholders, gave individuals the opportunity to provide input, develop some strategies based on best practices, incorporated those really important things that we're currently doing. I was going back through the plan and having some conversation with an administrator prior to presenting it here, and we added a couple items within our plan. For example, the high school Challenge Day, Freshman Unity Day, some of those things, those are components that we're currently doing that align specifically to our strategic plan, specifically the student achievement domain character development items. So there are a lot of things that aren't listed, but there certainly are some things that are, and at this point in time would recommend approval of such plan. And as we make decisions moving forward, it gives us the what on the decisions we make and can lead us to the why. So would certainly recommend approval at this point in time, and or entertain any questions you have.
I just want to thank Superintendent Larson, the administration, and everyone who worked on this again for the strategic plan, because I'll be honest, as a board member, you hear those two words and you instantaneously kind of sweat and feel not well about not feeling like you necessarily understand this whole process. This process was very much a learning experience for Mr. Odie and I as part of the executive committee. It's given me a new framework on how to think as a board member and to be able to answer questions to the viewing public and the patrons when they have questions about the district. I appreciate Superintendent Larson's leadership on this, and it's a rolling, flowing, living document that will be worked on,
Absolutely.
every year. Probably there's things and pieces of it that we can change, but I just appreciate having this and being able to refer to this in the bigger scope of things, in the bigger picture about why we do things that we do as a school board and as a district. So thank you very much, everyone, for working on this. Appreciate it. Are there any questions for Superintendent Larson on the strategic plan? If not, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval of the 2018-2023 Brandon Valley School District 49-2 strategic plan, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg.
Schrader.
Yes.
Klatt. Saxer. Saxer.
Yes. Yes.
Cullum.
Yes. Thank you. That takes us to general business items, consent number approval number 1 through 5. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
Move to approve general business consent items 1 through 5.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg.
Klatt. Saxer.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Cullum.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Personnel, there are 2 items there under consent approval. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented tonight.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg.
Schrader.
Yes.
Klatt. Saxer.
Yes.
Cullum.
Yes. Thank you very much. Communication, I don't necessarily see any, but if there is, it would be in the book in the back. Formal board reports, does anyone have a formal board report that they would like to report on tonight?
Yes. On behalf of the Building and Grounds Committee, just kind of some highlights there. We continue to look at the 18-19 enrollment projections and some of our triggers there with our schools and facilities. The Facility Reviews Committee, as far as a report there, we've had some major projects completed, of course, the high school entrance, our maintenance building, middle school entrance. So again, just in following up to those 2013 Facilities Committee had put some of those things in motion, and our field turf, of course, is in progress. The 5-year capital outlay budget projections, again, we continue to work with that. And probably the other last item is a Facility Review Committee. We're in the process of assembling that committee in preparation for some fall meetings here. So that's all I have. If there are any questions?
Probably not necessarily a building and grounds committee question, but maybe more both of you or Superintendent Larson. But since we're near and exceeding the triggers at 2 of our elementaries, and being Fred Assam and Robert Venice, and Brandon Elementary is quite a significant away from even getting close to the trigger at this point, are we looking at doing any type of realignment for next year or for wait out?
So I guess I'll answer that question. That will certainly be an item of discussion at the Facility Review Committee level in the fall. One item that I would note is that we are aligned to alter the Fred Assam boundary line very easily and shift some enrollment to Brandon Elementary, which would alleviate capacity at Fred Assam for 1 to 2 years, maybe more. So we're aligned very well to do that. It's just a matter if that's the general direction we want to go. I would tell you that we'll evaluate our enrollment numbers here in September, once we see where that falls, and see exactly where the Fred Assam number hits, if that makes sense. But certainly there is the potential to have a tweak to maximize our available space as we work to ensure being fiscally responsible. So yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions for Mr. Schrader or Superintendent Larson? Mrs. Saxer, do you have any questions for anyone?
No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. And I don't have any reports from any committees that I sit on. Any other reports tonight? If not, thank you very much, Mr. Schrader, for the report on buildings and grounds. With that, that takes us into our other business items section, Board of Education member recognition for Sandy Clapp.
Madam Chair, I would just like to personally and professionally thank Member Klatt for her years of service to the children of the Brandon Valley School District. In addition to that, to the students of South Dakota for your leadership on the South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Board. Thank you so much for your service. We certainly appreciate all that you've done for our kids and the kids of South Dakota, and all of the accomplishments that we and the state of South Dakota have seen with you serving in your capacity as a school board member and a member on the South Dakota High School Executive Board. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a personal note of thanks. It's been a pleasure. I hope, keep in touch. Let us know how kids are doing, because, that's what we do as parents. And it's been nice to have someone willing to ask questions, seek further input, and make us think. So I really have appreciated that. So we'll miss you. Okay. With that, that takes us to the end of our scheduled agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been a first and a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Lundberg?
Here.
Yes.
Clapp.
Yes.
Saxer.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and please join us for some refreshments. Thanks.